Although David Duchovny feels like an afterthought in the opening credits of Malice from Amazon Studios, it is interesting to see this X-Files alumni back on screen. Creator James Woods may give audiences a by-the-numbers family melodrama with an unbalanced Jack Whitehall thrown in for good measure, but at least Malice makes a play for originality. Carice Van Houten rounds out the trio, providing the missing piece of the puzzle as wife to finance broker Jamie, played by Duchovny. With Greece as their idyllic backdrop, relationships unfold at a leisurely pace, drip-feeding unease into the connections that develop before things turn nasty. Malice may be marketed as a revenge thriller, but the presence of producer Georgina Loa among the creatives is a curveball. Best known for working extensively with Mike Leigh, who wrote and directed Hard Truths, her name in the mix implies a degree of depth and quality control. Unfortunately, Malice takes such a relaxed approach to keeping audiences engaged that much of that depth may go unnoticed by many. However, what will grab the attention is something that feels like stunt casting at first, but turns out to be the making of Malice, even if the material never truly measures up.
Jack Whitehall has come a long way since Jungle Cruise.
Ever since Jungle Cruise, when Whitehall stood toe-to-toe with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt as a heartfelt supporting player, the British stand-up comedian turned character actor continues to create his own luck. Malice is his first foray into darker material, as he slips into the skin of Adam Healey, a private tutor for hire. What Whitehall has exploited in the last decade is a public school persona that instills an instant air of reliability in any character he portrays. That legacy, which includes long-running stints in Bad Education and Netflix shows opposite his father, has only compounded that impression. What Malice attempts to do is strip all that away and give him a new lease of life, portraying someone more complex. Adam plays at being compliant and hides his intellect beneath a convincing front, walking on eggshells and always reading the room. Audiences coming into Malice will already have preconceived expectations based on a heavy-handed trailer, but those going in blind will revel in the way things reveal themselves. This is a revenge thriller defined by good manners and impeccable etiquette, in which Adam passes under the radar due to something as transparent as an accent. It may play into every archetype ever conceived, but by embracing this role, he comes across as both disarming, charming, and inherently trustworthy. However, beneath the surface of that public school demeanor is a person people never talk about at parties. Someone who not only knows where the bodies are buried, but might just have dug some holes himself. Malice works best as Whitehall plays with expectations and keeps everyone guessing, playing poker with a captive audience, watching everything unravel. As word of his role in the Burbs TV reboot hits headlines, there is no denying Whitehall is taking things in a darker direction.
Malice overcomes mediocrity thanks to David Duchovny. After guest spots in The Sympathizer and a back catalog that includes Californication, Duchovny embodies finance broker Jamie Tanner, who appears to have it all: wealth, power, influence, and the love of a good woman in Natalie. However, appearances can be deceptive, and his world that seems so seamlessly constructed comes apart all too easily when Adam comes into his life, compliant to his wishes through employment, and later complicit in the events that follow as he allows this man into his life. What Malice succeeds in doing is nothing new. Themes of identity and the masks people wear to conceal their true intentions are almost a cliché. That line between personal and professional personas is best explored through Mary Herron's American Psycho. However, Malice never attempts to go down the Bret Easton Ellis route with Jamie Tanner, even if Duchovny is no stranger to small-screen threats, having faced off against unknown entities in The X-Files. In Duchovny's hands, Jamie Tanner might feel fleshed out, worldly wise and verging on arrogance, but there is also a vulnerability there. This captain of industry and backer of startup entrepreneurs might have a Teflon skin when it comes to business, but his family remains an Achilles heel. Protective to the point of being overbearing, Duchovny walks a thin line between the oppressive patriarch and doting father. meaning that when Adam arrives at his home, both men take their time to find common ground. However, what that means for audiences are some blatant genre clichés, from drunken bonding to shifting power dynamics and a certain amount of psychological manipulation. It's not quite The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which got a Hulu makeover recently, but something more agenda-driven. Irrespective, both Duchovny and Whitehall elevate Malice beyond what the material deserves, raising the stakes and overcoming the mediocrity of this premise. That job is made easier by the presence of Carice Van Houten as Natalie.
The GOT veteran finds substance in a supporting role.
With over 2 decades in the business and roles alongside Tom Cruise to her credit, Van Houten is still best known for Game of Thrones, where she earned an Emmy nomination for playing the mysterious priestess Melisandre. Fortunately, Malice is much more down-to-earth, and yet she still brings something unique to the role of Natalie Tanner, elevating the material despite the conventional obstacles that are put in her way. Playing the wife and mother in shows like this, actors are rarely asked to exert themselves. Traditionally, these characters remain two-dimensional and sit in the slipstream of their spouse. Although Van Houten never really gets to unleash her formidable talent in Malice, there are moments opposite Whitehall when she adds finesse. A glance or a gesture changes the dynamic between them and reveals a tenderness in their connection that never feels forced. In those moments, audiences will have a chance to understand how much potential Malice might have had if freedom, rather than formula, had dictated events.
Malice feels like a wasted opportunity.
With all that talent in tow, audiences should expect Malice to be exceptional. On paper, it should be a home run, but what audiences get instead is something elevated by an ensemble cast who must work too hard. However, despite their best efforts, there will still be a sense Malice is something everyone has seen before. Among an overlooked supporting cast, Christine Adams, who is best known for Hijack on Apple TV+, also gets little to do aside from being a shoulder to cry on. She is so thinly written in the role of Jules that she lacks a substantial character arc and meaningful resolution. Raza Jaffrey may have featured in The Serpent Queen opposite Samantha Morton across 2 seasons, but here he suffers a similar fate. Playing opposite Adams as her husband Damien, any twists also feel convenient and convoluted, despite the best efforts of everyone involved. Not even a pitch-black plot twist with far-reaching ramifications can save Malice from feeling like an exercise in been there, done that. As the coincidences mount up and everything falls foul of formula, audiences may find themselves wondering if there is a payoff worth waiting for. That really comes down to how invested people become in this cast, because they never stop trying to sell it whatever happens. At the end of the day, perhaps that is why audiences should just go with the flow and let this show entertain them. For Whitehall's first proper foray into dark material, Malice is entertaining, if not exceptional. Amazon Studios have done the right thing and surrounded him with a solid supporting cast, even if some of them have nothing to do. It may be his name on the streaming marquee, but thankfully both Duchovny and Van Houten are pulling in the same direction, giving audiences something easy that is unlikely to test their patience or pack too many surprises along the way. It also indicates that, given the right material, there may yet be a 7-sized role waiting for Whitehall on the horizon. Malice is now streaming on Prime Video.